Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fluento, Everyday English for Real Life, the podcast where we slow things down, breathe a little deeper, and make English feel, well, like a friend you enjoy spending time with. I'm Anna, and sitting across from me with a big smile and a very suspicious-looking giant cup of coffee is my good friend and co-host, David.
Suspicious? Anna, this is an ordinary cup of coffee, a normal amount of caffeine. Nothing dramatic happening here.
David, that cup is the size of your head.
Okay, maybe it is dramatic. But it's going to help me stay awake because today's episode is so important, and honestly, I'm excited for it. We're talking about a question that almost every English learner faces, and even native speakers get nervous about. Tell me about yourself.
Such a simple sentence, right? But it carries so much pressure. It shows up everywhere. Job interviews, first dates, first meetings with classmates, speaking tests, even casual conversations with new friends. It's one of those questions that makes your brain go completely blank.
Yes! Suddenly, you're thinking, who am I? What do I say? What do they want? Why are my hands sweating? And then the panic starts.
Exactly. And that's why we wanted to dedicate a full episode to it. Not the robotic textbook answer, not a memorized speech, but the real, human, natural way to talk about yourself in English. Because that's what Fluento is about, helping you sound like you.
I love that. And we'll talk about different versions: casual, formal, job interviews, meeting new friends, even fun and creative ones. But we'll keep it all natural, like two friends figuring out this skill together.
And hopefully, by the end, our listeners will feel more confident, less afraid, and maybe even excited to introduce themselves in English.
You know, Anna, that reminds me. I still remember the very first time I had to introduce myself in a language that wasn't my own. I was in Japan, and someone asked me in Japanese to introduce myself, and my brain collapsed.
Oh no, what happened?
I panicked. I forgot every Japanese word I had learned. I started sweating, and all I managed to say was, I like rice, which, okay, is true, but not very impressive.
David, maybe it wasn't impressive, but it was honest and memorable.
Yes, and that's the thing. Introductions don't have to be perfect. They just need to be honest, clear, and human. And that's something we want to show our listeners today.
Exactly. So let's start at the beginning, the heart of tell me about yourself. Because even though the question is simple, what it's really asking is, who are you right now, and what do you want me to know about you?
Yes, and also, how can I feel connected to you? Because that's what communication is. Connection.
Beautifully said. And to help our listeners, we'll start with the most classic approach, something easy to remember even when you're nervous. Present, past, future.
I love this structure. It's like telling a mini story about your life in a very natural way. So let's break it down gently through conversation, not as a list. Anna, if someone asked you, tell me about yourself, and you used that structure, what would you say?
Let me think. I'd say something like, well, I'm Anna. I'm a language teacher and content creator, and I'm passionate about helping people feel confident with English. I studied linguistics and education in university, and before that, I actually worked at a small cafe, which taught me a lot about people. In the future, I want to build more creative resources for learners and maybe travel to places where English learning is growing.
That's so natural. It flows. It's warm. It's not robotic. And it gives me a clear picture of who you are.
Thank you. And notice something important. I didn't include every detail. I didn't tell you my whole life story. I chose the pieces that match who I am today and where I want to go.
Yes, and the future part is surprisingly powerful. People often forget it, but it shows your goals, your motivation, and your personality. It makes you more three-dimensional.
Exactly. And our listeners can do this too, even if their English is simple. You can say, "My name is Sarah. I am studying business now. Before, I worked in a small shop. In the future, I want to open my own business."
See, simple English, clear story, easy to follow.
And that's what matters. Clarity. Not complex grammar, not fancy vocabulary, just clarity.
Speaking of vocabulary, Anna, do you think we can teach a little language without overwhelming people?
Of course, a little bit here and there. For example, when you introduce yourself, phrases like "I'm originally from," "I'm currently," "I used to," and "I hope to" are very helpful. They connect your ideas and make your introduction sound smooth.
Ah, yes, connectors, the bridges of language. Without them, your introduction sounds like many small islands instead of one big piece of land.
Exactly. And speaking of bridges, that structure, present, past, future, is also a bridge. It helps you move through your ideas without getting stuck.
But Anna, you know what many learners tell me? They say the hardest part isn't knowing what to say, it's the fear of saying it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. The fear of speaking, the fear of mistakes, the fear that someone will judge their accent or grammar. And I want every listener to hear this. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are proof that you are trying.
Yes, and every native speaker, including me, makes mistakes too. I mispronounce words all the time, especially long scientific ones.
And yet you survive.
Barely.
You're doing great. And honestly, when learners make small mistakes while introducing themselves, people don't focus on the mistake. People focus on the courage.
Absolutely. When someone introduces themselves to me in English, even if their English is simple, I think, wow, they're communicating in a language that is not theirs. That's amazing.
Yes, never forget that.
Anna, I'd love to talk about the simple version now, the one for beginners or for people who get nervous.
Great idea. The safe and simple version is wonderful. It's just your name, where you're from, and one hobby. Something like, "My name is David. I'm from London. I enjoy cooking."
I do enjoy cooking, especially pasta.
You enjoy eating pasta.
That's also true. But seriously, this structure is perfect because it's clear, short, and confidence building. And when you feel confident, you can add more later.
Confidence grows like a plant, slowly, with practice, one sentence at a time. And speaking of practice, David, remember the first time you recorded yourself speaking another language?
Ugh, yes, it was painful. I hated my voice, I hated my mistakes. I wanted to hide under a table.
And how do you feel about it now?
Well, I still hate my voice sometimes, but the point is, recording yourself is powerful. It helps you hear your rhythm, your pauses, your pronunciation, and it's a great way to practice your introduction.
Absolutely. Listeners, if you want to get better at introducing yourself, record yourself saying it. Listen, adjust, try again. It's like training a muscle.
Speaking of muscles, let's talk about job interviews, the gym where the tell me about yourself question is the heaviest weight.
Yes, job interviews are a different environment, more serious, more focused, more intentional. In a job interview, your answer is not just about you, it's about the job.
Exactly. You need to think, what does this employer want? What skills do I have that match that?
Right. You choose the parts of your story that matter for that job. For example, if you're applying for a customer service job, you might say, "My name is Maria. I have experience helping customers in a small shop, and I enjoy solving problems. I am patient, and I work well with people.
Short, professional, and focused.
And you don't need to say everything, just the parts that matter.
Anna, can we talk about culture for a moment? Because in many cultures, talking about yourself feels uncomfortable. It can feel like bragging.
Yes, that's such an important point. In some cultures, being humble is very important. You don't talk about your achievements openly. So when someone asks, "Tell me about yourself," it feels strange.
But in English-speaking cultures, it's totally normal. It's not showing off, it's simply sharing information.
Exactly. It's like giving someone a map of who you are, not a trophy, a map.
Oh, I love that metaphor.
Thank you. And listeners, remember, when you introduce yourself in an English-speaking environment, you are not bragging. You are helping the other person understand how to connect with you.
Like saying, here are the doors to my world.
Yes. And people appreciate it. They feel closer to you.
Speaking of closeness, can we talk about the fun fact technique?
Yes, I love fun facts. They make introductions memorable. It's one little detail that shows your personality.
For example, I can make amazing pancakes. Or, I once got lost in Venice and accidentally joined a wedding parade.
Did that really happen?
Yes, long story. Beautiful wedding, great food.
Fun facts are wonderful because they create connection. They open doors to more conversation.
And they make you sound more human, not just a list of facts.
Exactly. And on the other side, there are things to avoid, like talking too long, being negative, or sharing too much private information.
Yes, please don't start with, well, my childhood was very difficult. Save that for close friends, not introductions.
Right. Light, positive, simple. That's the key.
Anna, I'm curious, what was your very first English tell me about yourself?
Ah, you really want to hear this?
Of course.
It was terrible. I was maybe 10 years old. I said, "My name is Anna. I am girl. I like cat."
That is adorable.
I was very shy. My voice was shaking. But you know what? It was a start, a small seed. And from that seed grew confidence, little by little.
And look at you now, teaching people all around the world.
Because I kept practicing, even when my voice shook, even when I made mistakes. And listeners, you can do the same. You just need to start.
Yes, your English story is unfolding every time you speak, every time you try.
And Tell Me About Yourself is one of those moments where you can practice being brave.
Anna, I want to give our listeners something warm before we close. What would you say to someone who feels scared to introduce themselves in English?
I would say it's okay to be scared. It means you're growing. And every time you speak, even one small sentence, you are becoming who you want to be. The world wants to hear your voice, not the perfect version, but the real one.
That's beautiful and true.
Thank you. And you?
I'd say your accent is not a mistake. It's part of your story. Your English doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. Just speak. People will listen.
That's perfect. And with that, dear listeners, it's time to wrap up. Thank you for sharing this long, warm conversation with us today. We hope you feel inspired, calmer, and a little more confident introducing yourself.
We would love to hear your version. Tell us, what's one sentence you would use to introduce yourself? Or what's one fun fact about you?
Share it with us. Practice is powerful, and we're always cheering for you.
Until next time, keep speaking, keep learning, and keep believing in your English journey.
Bye for now, everyone. See you in the next episode of Fluento, Everyday English for Real Life.